That was part of my conversation a bit earlier today with DNC Deputy Communications Director Lily Adams. Let's get some reaction now from the National Press Secretary for the Republican National Committee, Kirsten Kukowski. And Kirsten, with a welcome to you, how do you respond to what you just heard?
Of course, thanks for having me on. You know what, I really like Lily. She's very good at her job, but this is just spin. It shows just how desperate the Democrats are right now. We've really heard a change in their rhetoric over the last couple of weeks, and I think that it actually really coincides with what we're seeing on the ground in each of these Senate states, and I think that it's because they're starting to come our way, and I think we're going to be doing very well on Election Day. It's actually interesting that the exact opposite of what Lily said is true. We've been saying for over a year now that our goal as a party is to expand the electorate because we have to as a Republican Party. We need more voters in our party and not fewer. So we've been spending a lot of time in new communities that we haven't been in for a very long time and really focusing on turning out voters, low propensity voters, which is what we call them, people who don't usually vote. And we are saying to them, we've spent over the last year saying, please come out and vote and come vote early.
Okay. Democrats have criticized Republican-controlled state legislatures for enacting measures that they say suppress the voting. That includes eliminating or reducing early voting. And now you've got 34 states with these voter ID laws. But the New York Times reports that with a 5-year investigation by the Bush administration in 2007, it turned up virtually no evidence of any organized effort to skew federal elections. So the question has to be asked, are Republicans trying to suppress the vote in any way, any place?
Not at all. Not at all. We actually, like I just got done saying, we actually want more people to come out and vote. We have our entire strategy for the midterm elections has been getting these low propensity voters to turn out early. So I completely disagree with that assessment from the DNC and with your question.
Okay, but then why are Republican state-controlled legislators or just Republican legislators in general, why are they pushing these voting policies?
Well, I think that we have to take a look at each state and ask them and ask the governors and ask the state legislatures why that applies in their state. Every state has to take a look at their electorate and what makes the most sense. So I don't think having a blanket conversation about this Democrat versus Republican is really productive at this point. All I know right now is that we're 3 days from an election, and the Republican National Committee is working on turning out low propensity voters, people who have not voted for a very long time, out to the polls and turn them out early.
Here's something else from the Times, Kristen. It says that early voting numbers appear to look good for the Democrats in several battleground states. More than 20% of the nearly 3 million votes already tabulated in the states of Colorado, Iowa, Georgia, and North Carolina are coming from those voters, as you might call them, low propensity ones, who sat out back in 2010. These voters are more diverse, Democratic usually. They include a pretty strong showing from African Americans. So do you think this may be a challenge posed for the GOP?
You know what? Actually, I just got out of our meeting where we went state by state and got an assessment from the data that we're getting from each of these battleground states, and I think that we feel very good about where things stand. I think that the Democrats, yes, that is their strategy. I think that after Election Day, I think what we're going to hear from them is that they didn't get enough of those voters to go out to the polls that they need. And actually, we are cutting into their normal lead with early vote and actually doing it ourselves because we've changed our strategy. So it's a very interesting dynamic right now, and I think that we feel very good about where things stand as we head into the polls. Normally, we're down considerably with early voters at this point, and we're just not seeing that right now.
Not surprisingly, Democrats will blame Republicans for gridlock on Capitol Hill, particularly with the GOP holding the House. Do you think anybody's going to get anything done if the GOP holds both houses?
I think we actually have more of a chance of getting something done. The key obstacle for us this last time around was actually Harry Reid, because he was doing Barack Obama's bidding and obstructing things from going to the president's desk. So I think that that's actually been our central narrative from the RNC and a lot of these Senate campaigns is let's make sure to fire Reid. Let's make sure to get his obstructionist view of running the Senate out of here so that we can actually start having a conversation with the president. And I think at that point, and we'll see see what happens on Tuesday. But at that point, this president's going to have to reevaluate how he starts working with members of Congress and with Republicans in general, something he has not done in his entire tenure as president.
But, you know, speaking of the president's desk, why should the president not use his veto power? Because Republicans did not embrace policies and initiatives that he tried to embrace. Is there any common ground anywhere?
Well, I should certainly hope so, and I think that we would like to be at the table. He hasn't been at the table, so I guess part of this conversation is a little premature. Let's see what happens on Tuesday. I think that we feel very good about us holding the House or keeping the House and taking back the Senate, and then I think we very much look forward to, you know, working with the president and trying to figure out how we start moving things forward, starting to get rid of this stagnant economy, start to get some of these unemployed Americans back to work, things that Harry Reid and President Obama haven't been working with us on. And I think that a lot of these races out there in the midterms have been run against the president's policies. So he's going to have to take a real look at the way that he's operated the last 6 years and come back to the drawing board and sit down at the table with us.
All right. Well, if some of our conversation is premature, I'd love to have you back, Kirsten Kukowski, and we'll talk about this on the other side of Tuesday. Thank you very much.